Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Chris Sowers with another AccuWeather update here. We continue to see the heavy snow flying across parts of the area. You're looking at StormTracker 6 live, and boy, you can see a whole bunch of colors, right? But I want you to focus on that lavender or deep purple color that's taking up most of the I-95 corridor, as well as our southeastern Pennsylvania suburbs. That's where we're seeing some tremendous snowfall rates at this point. I was just looking at observations, and right now there's a couple of towns well north and west of Philadelphia that are reporting 2-inch-an-hour snowfall rates. It just kind of shows you how quickly this storm is intensifying. Hard to believe temperatures were pretty close to, well, we didn't quite reach 60 a couple of days ago, but we did have 3 straight days where the highs were between 57 and 60, you know, depending on your location. And now there's so much snow in parts of the area, it's a winter wonderland out there. So how things changed during the month of February, right? Okay, let's go over to, if I can remember here. Bear with me for a second. I'm also on the controls, and I'm trying to remember why 6. Hold on one second. I apologize. I'm trying to remember why this is not showing up here. What just happened? Weather 4 is... There we go. Okay, now we can get into it here. So, all right, heavy snow continues for areas north and west right now. Snow is actually, it's going to start wrapping up over the next couple of hours, but at least from now until 10, we're in the thick of it, okay? After 10, things will start winding down a little bit, but heavy snow continues to fall. A lot of snow-covered roads, areas north and west, okay? And I can't stress this enough. If you're able to stay home at least through 10, I would do that because, again, it was not a fun trip into work this morning. I came in I was on the roads between 5:30 and 6:30, and even though it was raining through most of my journey in, it did flip over to snow when I got into the city at that point, and the roads were already a mess then. So it was not fun. I was white-knuckling it at times. Snowfall rates, again, up to 2 inches per hour now for areas north and west. And I'm getting a couple totals coming in now from the National Weather Service. Chester in Delaware County. Chester, almost 60 degrees a few days ago. You're now up to 4.5 inches of snow. Looks like Spring Township, Berks County, over 5 inches. We have over 11 now in Jim Thorpe. That's up there near the Poconos. That is the Poconos, actually. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, they're going to keep coming in. So they're coming in now. So what I'll do is when we get to the snowfall map, I'll talk a little bit more about those totals here, but very, very impressive. And also you have to remember a lot of this has taken shape within just the last couple of hours. It's not like it's been snowing for 6 hours already. The snow just developed, or the rain just flipped over to snow in Philadelphia, maybe an hour and a half ago, and we're already starting to see some pretty good totals close to the city. So again, just a refresher here. Remember, there's a lot of colors on this map. The rain is indicated by the green. Now, where you see the yellow, that's the radar's way of indicating heavy rain. Everybody else seeing the lavender color or the purple, that's snow. The darker the color, the heavier the precipitation. So in this case, you can see the heavy snow falling through the city, our southeastern Pennsylvania suburbs, as well as interior southern New Jersey. Let's make a couple zooms here. So this area here, getting into Pottstown and Boyerstown, you see how dark that color is from Richland in upper Bucks County, crossing over the northeast extension. It stretches southwestward through Boyertown and Pottstown and then into western Chester County. That's a 2-inch-an-hour snow band right now, okay? So that's going to be pushing over the northeast extension probably within the next half hour. So you get closer and closer to Macungie and Emmaus, and conditions are going to go downhill very, very quickly. Just keep that in mind if you're going to be traveling over the next half hour in that direction. Norristown, it's snowing as you get closer to Philadelphia County, but it's not quite snowing as heavily. And then also, if you look towards the bottom of your screen, Philadelphia County, most of the county right now reporting an inch-an-hour snowfall rate. Road conditions are deteriorating very quickly in Bensalem, as well as Manayunk and some areas just west of Philadelphia County. So again, that's another area where you're really going to have to take it slow. The airport is reporting moderate snow at this point. Same thing with West Goshen and Coatesville as you get into Chester County. Now, we talked about this earlier. What's happening in southern New Jersey, part of the reason why the precipitation has shut off, we're being what's called dry slotted. Sometimes these storms, they intensify so quickly. They occlude, and we start to pull some drier air in on the southern side. And that's what's happening here. But as we expand the view, notice that there's plenty more moisture out to the west, and notice how that band is collapsing south and east. So in southern New Jersey, places like Cape May and, I don't know, maybe Bridgeton and Vineland and Buna and Hamilton, precipitation may have shut off for now, but you're going to get some snow here over the next, I'd say give it another hour, and then the tail end of this should be pushing through. And you can see it's snowing very heavily in Allentown. It's snowing very heavily in Baltimore. It's snowing very heavily in D.C. Yes, it was 80 degrees in D.C. About a week ago. And now you're seeing snow. I mean, it was so warm, the cherry trees were going to start blossoming, right? And now here comes that heavy snow flying. All right, so here's a look at some of the descriptions. So as of 7:30, you know what? I'm not even going to attempt. Look at the report there at the top of your screen. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that name because I don't know how. But you get the idea. That is in, I believe it's in extreme southern Lehigh County. Okay? They have now shot up to 7 inches of snow. The time of this report was 7:30, and look at the description. They're reporting an inch and a half of snow per hour right now. That's how hard it's snowing. And then if you look towards the left in East Coventry Township, they're reporting 2 inches of snow per hour, and that was that heavy band that I showed you earlier here. They're now up to 3 inches. That report was as of 8 a.m., so that was about 37 minutes ago, which means there's probably more than 3 inches. There's a good bet that there's more than 3 inches on the ground, probably closer to 4 now, given how heavy that snow band is. Temperatures are pretty close to freezing, which again, that in itself is pretty impressive considering how mild it's been. Many of these areas were close to 50 degrees, not only yesterday, but the day before that, and the day before that, and then Friday, probably pretty close to 60 degrees. All it takes, and you know, we talk about this all the time, and I know it's hard to kind of just put that in your mind, but all it takes is you could have had temperatures close to 80 degrees Friday afternoon, and it wouldn't have mattered because everything was getting cooler day by day, even though it was mild. Everything was getting cooler day by day by day as we got closer to today. And then, you know, the storm became so intense so quickly that it started creating its own cold air. All you need at some point in the atmosphere from 5,000 feet up is temperatures at 32 degrees or lower. And that's all you need. And it will snow. I mean, assuming temperatures aren't 60 degrees at the surface, you know, but that's all you needed. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So even though, you know, it had been so mild, look what's happened here over the last couple of hours. As that storm intensified, it pulled that cold air down. And so now Allentown sitting at 31, Easton sitting at 32, Quakertown you're freezing 32, Pottstown 32, Kutztown 32. All the roadways up there are a mess. They are snow covered. They're not quite icy, but there's so much snow on the ground now up there that some areas are becoming impassable, especially the secondary roads. Doylestown 33 degrees, Coatesville 32. And one thing that I want to point out, remember the magic number is 32. In this situation, it does not matter. Even if you're in an area where you're above 32, it's just snowing too heavily right now. It's what we call thumping. And so because the snowfall rates are so intense, it's just not giving the snow a chance to melt. So it's coming down heavily, and it's sticking, and it's making for very treacherous conditions right now up and down the I-95 corridor. Boy, notice how the numbers have dropped. When I came in this morning, we were pretty close to 40 degrees still in Philadelphia. Now we're down to 33. Even Hamilton, Blueberry Country, Atlantic County, 33. Millville's down to 36. Fortescue, 36. And Ocean City down to 37. All right, next couple of hours. You know, hopefully you are able to do this, but what I've been suggesting is at least through about 10, if you don't have to travel and you can stay home, stay home. All right, the snow intensity is just, it's just that. It's too intense right now, the banding, and it's just making the roads treacherous right now. If you can stay home, stay off the roads. I know the plows are out there doing their thing, but remember, it was raining, and the plows are having a difficult time. Now, they can remove the snow, but underneath the snow is still slick because remember that brine that they tend to throw down, you know, pre-treatment before the storm even gets underway. They couldn't do that this time around because of the heavy rain. If they would have put it down, if they would have applied it, they would have wasted it because the rain would have washed it away. So they were not able to put that pre-treatment down. So even when the plows get out there and they remove the snow, all right, you still have that real slick layer right there immediately on the road surface. Okay, so road conditions are going to be a mess here over the next couple of hours. 9 a.m., still snowing very heavily up and down the I-95 corridor. All right, areas north and west. 10 o'clock, all right, things are shifting east. 11 o'clock, probably coming to an end now in Philadelphia. Still snowing across interior South Jersey just an hour after that. It's pretty much ending everywhere. So again, the worst of this is going to be now right through 10 or 10:30, give or take a half hour or so. And then everything should begin to ease up from west to east across the viewing area. Here's the funny thing. Look at that. 4, 5, 6. It's a mess out there right now. Sun probably pops out in a couple neighborhoods here. And temperatures bounce right back up into the upper 30s, low 40s. And then some of this snow is going to start to melt. So rapid changes here in the weather department. All right, when all is said and done. Now, a lot of these numbers look like they're going to verify because many locations are getting pretty close to this already, especially up there in the Poconos. It looks like we have, hold on one second, it looks like we have something coming in from the National Weather Service, ws.noaa.gov. Let me just see what happened here. All right, it looks like they are just reissuing the winter storm warnings that have been issued now for areas north and west. Okay, that's what it looks like, unless I'm missing it here. But remember, winter storm warnings, what that indicates is snowfall approaching 6 inches, accumulation of 6 inches or more when all is said and done. So in order to prepare you for that, National Weather Service pops the warning. And so that's why some of those counties, north and west, are under the warning. So the counties that are under the warning right now, Upper Bucks, actually it is all of Bucks now, I believe, all of Montgomery, Berks County, Lancaster County, the Lehigh Valley, and the Poconos. Those areas right now, snowfall totals in parts of that county are quickly approaching 6 inches. Now, notice we do have, let me zoom in here, we do have 3 to 6 for most of Bucks and Montgomery counties, okay, but there's going to be some outliers here where we see a little bit more. You get north of, well, it looks like Quakertown and Coopersburg, you are included in this. So let's go north of Doylestown and north of Lansdale, and that's where that 6-inch line runs, okay, from New York City right through, let's say, Fleetwood, or just south of Fleetwood in Berks County. From that point north, at least 6 inches, and in some cases, we're closing in on a foot. Poconos, Jim Thorpe now quickly approaching a foot of snow. Mount Pocono has, last report I saw, 10. Easton and Bethlehem, they all have about 5 to 7. So the snow's piling up really quickly up there. 3 to 6 in that lightish pinkish color. I don't even know what color that is. Looks pink to me. All right, Lansdale, Doylestown, Reading, Honeybrook, Exton, Coatesville, Lancaster, all 3 to 6. Pottstown, 3 to 6. Boyerstown, 3 to 6. King of Prussia, 3 to 6. Trenton, 3 to 6. Buckingham, 3 to 6. Newtown, Bucks County, 3 to 6. Princeton, 3 to 6. Hopewell Township, 3 to 6. Right along 322, Route 322, as you get out of Delaware County there and into Chester County, especially some of the higher elevations there in northern Chester County, you're probably going to end up with 5 or 6 inches here when all is said and done. Most of Delaware County itself in the 1 to 3, and same thing with Philadelphia County. But I have to tell you, not all of Philadelphia County is in the 1 to 3. You do see a sliver here north and west of the Center City area. Wouldn't surprise me if we have to push that 3-inch line a little bit farther to the south. But for now, let's say, I don't know, maybe let's just say Manning Elk, 3 inches. Okay, and then areas north of, the town name escapes, or the part of the city escapes me, what I'm trying to remember here. But anyway, you go into Philly Northeast, where the reporting station is, where the airport, from that point north, you're probably 3 inches or more. All right, in southern New Jersey, notice the 1 to 3. It's western Burlington County, western Gloucester County, western Camden County, and then the northern tip there of Newcastle County. So a couple areas here, Thoroughfare, Belmar, Paulsboro, Mickleton, those areas, 1 to 3. Camden County, you're probably looking at Cherry Hill, Voorhees, Morristown in Burlington County. Those areas, 1 to 3, Mount Holly, Burlington itself. Going up 206. Now, when you're in the Hamilton area, so Atlantic County around 206, you're probably in the coating to an inch. But you start getting past Chemung, and you start getting into the higher snowfall rates. And that's where we could see 2, 3 inches. And then in southern New Jersey, that's where we see snowfall totals that are going to be a little bit less. Okay, so bad timing here. We've been talking about this for days. It's a heavy, wet snow, and it's falling just in time for that morning commute. And so that's why I'm advising everybody, if you can, stay off the roads over the next couple of hours. If you do have to travel, I was going to say take it slow, but honestly, Mother Nature's not giving you much of a choice here, as some of the roads are really, really bad, the secondary roads. It's a quick thump between 6 and 10 a.m. Snowfall rates, now we've posted closing in on 1 inch an hour. Some areas, as you just saw earlier, are over 2 inches an hour. Okay, that's how heavily some of this snow is. Coastal flooding also an issue, especially along the ocean front. High tide occurs around 10 a.m. from Seaside Heights all the way down to Cape May. Okay, so that's where we could see moderate flooding. Those most vulnerable roads, the roads that usually flood even when, I don't know, even when we're seeing, I don't know, a heavy rainstorm or something like that. Those areas, some of the roads could end up being impassable for a time here during this morning's high tide, and probably again overnight tonight when this evening's high tide occurs. And then minor tidal flooding is expected here in Cumberland County, Kent County, around Bowers Beach and Fortescue, and then all the way up the Delaware River into Philadelphia, and then Burlington itself, Burlington County. Times of concern, again, the first one we're focused on is right now through 10 a.m. That's when high tide is official, from Cape May Harbor all the way up to Barnegat Bay. Now, Barnegat Bay, we're expecting minor flooding, but everybody else, we're expecting moderate flooding. Wanted to quickly show you this because this was a question, and I've been flooded with this question here over the last couple of days. Was why was this storm, looks like they turned the light out on me. Why was this storm so difficult to forecast? Okay, it's what we call a Miller A, or excuse me, a Miller B. All right, a Miller A is a very easy storm to forecast because it's one low that develops near the Gulf of Mexico and runs right up the East Coast. It's easy to forecast because the low is already there. The modeling already sees it. So because it sees it, it can just plot it up the coast. The problem with the Miller B is it's one main low, similar to the Miller A, but then that low, as it comes up the coast, transfers its energy to a secondary low that hasn't developed yet. So the modeling has to guess on where it thinks that secondary low is going to develop. Now, if this was just going to be an all-rain event, then it wouldn't matter because we wouldn't be talking about a rain-snow line. It would just be, okay, areas north and west, maybe you pick up 1 inch of rain. Areas south and east, maybe you pick up a ½ inch of rain. Who cares, right? But when you're talking snow, again, where you place that secondary low makes a huge difference in what we see. So we were talking about this over the weekend here. Some of the forecast modeling had the low developing right there around the Chesapeake, all right? So the snow line was way north of Philadelphia. Other forecast models put it right there, much farther off the coast, okay? So if the low shifts south and east, the rain-snow line shifts south and east. And that's exactly what has taken place. We saw a dramatic shift yesterday morning, and now we are seeing the heavy snow fly across parts of the area. So that's why, and it's not just what we call the Miller B, but that's part of the reason why winter forecasting is so much more difficult than spring or summer or fall. And it's a lot more difficult to forecast in this part of the country than it is anywhere else when we're talking about winter precipitation for that matter. Why? Well, because look at all the dynamics and all the features that come into play here with the topography. You've got the Appalachians to the west. You get a downsloping wind, it changes the outcome of the storm. You've got the ocean to the east. All of a sudden you get an onshore flow, it changes the features, the dynamics of the storm. There's just so many little variables here that you've got to take into consideration when you're forecasting a winter storm. It makes you want to pull your hair out sometimes. So, but that's what we deal with here in the Philadelphia area. Okay, that's going to do it for me. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Here's a look at StormTracker 6 Live. Again, the purple color is where the heavy snow is falling. The green represents the heavy rain. Stay safe out there. I'll see you again in an hour. Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Chris Sowers with this AccuWeather update. We are in the middle of our first February snowstorm. Geez, I got to think back. I'll have to look into this. It's been a while since we've had a February snowstorm. I don't know if we had one last year. Maybe we had one the year before that. Either way, it's been a while, right? We had a little bit of a snow during the month of January, and then we got into this huge January thaw. So how in the world is this happening? I'm looking out the window right now. I've got a bunch of windows in my office. How in the world is this happening, right? Temperatures were close to 60 degrees. Friday, Saturday, it was really, really mild, and now it's a winter wonderland out there. We are in the thick of it, okay? Right now through about 10 a.m. or so, 10:30, give or take a half hour or so. That's where we're going to continue to see the heaviest snow. Many roads are completely snow covered. I'm looking out the window right now, and we're on the corner of Jim Gardner Way and City Ave, and both of those roads are completely snow covered. Okay, so the snowfall intensity right now is not allowing the snow to melt. We were talking about this earlier this morning. If the snow was just kind of lollygagging and coming down really, really light, then the roads would be fine, because think about how warm the ground was. Okay, but because the snow is coming down so heavily, even though the ground temperature is still milder than what you would typically want it to see if you're someone that wants a huge snowstorm, so even though it's a little bit milder, it doesn't matter. The snowfall rate's too intense. Snow doesn't have enough time to melt. So things are getting pretty treacherous out there on the roads. Snowfall rates, look at this. We had been talking about, so this is how crazy intense this storm is getting. We had been talking about 1 inch an hour snowfall rates over the last 24 hours. There's a couple areas right now reporting 2 inch an hour snowfall rates. Can you imagine if you're in one of those areas right now, 2 inches an hour is a blinding snowfall. It's that heavy, wet, pasty snow, silver dollar-sized snowflakes right now just falling. And again, it's making things really, really messy out there. Let's go right over to StormTracker 6 Live. And as you look at this here, I'm going to read off a couple of snowfall totals coming in now from the National Weather Service, mounting up very, very quickly. Jim Thorpe is closing in on a foot. Same thing with Mount Pocono. Birdsboro's at 6. East Coventry Township, 5.3. Bangor in Northampton County, 8 inches. Leesport, 4 inches. Whitehall Township, 7.5. Chester, all right, 7, excuse me, that's the wrong one. Whitehall Township, 7. Chester, 4.5 inches. Hellertown, 4.5 inches. Gilbertsville, 5 inches. Boyertown, 5.3. Reading is sitting near 5. So we've got a lot of snow that has come down now in a very short period of time. The road crews are out there, okay, but they're having a very difficult time keeping up with this. Okay, I mean, think about it, 2 inches an hour. You're asking a lot, right, to keep those roads clear. So stay patient out there. Remember, you want to stay at least 5 to 6 car lengths behind a plow, okay? Give them their space. And also for your safety, when I drove into work this morning, it was very, very difficult to even get in, and the snow had just started. So, for your safety as well, keep at least 5 to 6 car lengths behind the car in front of you. Remember, the visibility has gone way down because of how intense the snowfall rates are right now. So many areas from the I-95 corridor north and west dealing with visibility that's under a quarter mile. Okay, winds are starting to pick up at the Jersey Shore. Now that the low is beginning to intensify, so we're seeing gusts as high as 50 miles per hour, or pretty close to that from Surf City down to Cape May, occasional gusts. And remember, this morning's high tide down there, which is officially at 10 a.m., from Surf City all the way down to Cape May. We are expecting moderate flooding here. So there's going to be some issues, especially in those most vulnerable areas. Some of those roads that sit really low to begin with may become impassable for a time over the next couple of hours. All right, let's make a couple of zooms. And we're going to first put you right here in the heart of our southeastern Pennsylvania suburbs. Okay, we're zoomed into Montgomery County. Norristown, you're still seeing snowfall rates at about 1 inch an hour. Now, you see a lot of colors here. The darker the purple, all right, the heavier the snow. So where you see that lighter whitish color, that's where the snow is much, much lighter than in areas where it appears this dark purple. So if you're heading up the northeast extension, Norristown, it's snowing very heavily. Let's say you get in around the Pennsburg area, okay, and it does lighten up. And then you go north of there, closer to Macungie and Emmaus and Richland and Coopersburg and Quakertown, those areas, all of a sudden you've got whiteout conditions again, where the snowfall rates are between 1 inch and 2 inches an hour. Look towards the bottom of your screen. You can see the Pennsylvania Turnpike there coming out of excuse me, the Schuylkill that merges into the Pennsylvania Turnpike as you get out of Philadelphia County around King of Prussia. Notice the heavy snow falling there. Delaware County reporting very heavy snow. Again, Chester now seeing 4.5 inches, and you're still in that band right now where the snow's coming down at least an inch an hour. So we're at 4.5 right now. You know, we had you guys in the 1 to 3. You guys are heavily overachieving right now. It wouldn't surprise me if we get at least another 2 inches out of this when all is said and done in Chester. So you may close in on 7 when all is said and done. Pottstown, it looks like you're seeing about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch an hour. That's your rate there. And then towards the bottom of your screen in Chester, okay, you get around the Route 322 area, and then the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and that's a pretty heavy snow that's falling right now, anywhere from a 1/2 inch to an inch an hour. Dry slot continues in southern New Jersey, although notice the last couple of images here. Notice how the moisture's starting to fill in. That's the back band that's starting to push south and east. Remember, that is going to wrap around the area of low pressure, which is developed off the coast, okay? So that still has to push through. And again, the way that you look at this, green represents rain, purples and whites represent snow. The darker the color, the heavier the precipitation. And look how far south this snow extends. I mean, it goes all the way from the New York City metro area, which, by the way, this is going to be a big thumping, a good storm for you folks up there in the New York metro. You get into northern New Jersey, too, the Hamburg Mountains, Sussex County, around Blairtown, Morris County, those areas, you're probably looking at least 8 to 10 inches, maybe a foot. But anyway, what I was talking about earlier is look how far south this thing extends. It extends from the Catskills all the way down to the D.C. area, the Chesapeake Bay, areas that were close to 80 degrees just a week ago, and now you've got accumulating snow. But there's the tail end. It looks like it's pushing through Harrisburg now, okay? Schuylkill County, Pottsville, it looks like it's ending there now. And again, it is collapsing from northwest to southeast. So we're sitting at, what is it, about 9:07 right now. I would say the snow continues for at least another hour at this pace, at least another hour to an hour and a half. And then it really will start to lighten up once we get beyond 10:30. All right, let's take a quick zoom here on the reports. And, oh, where did my reports go? Let's see if I can get them back up here. Okay, I guess I'll do this live for you guys, and we'll see what's going on. Okay, there's the Boyertown report. We were talking about this earlier. Let me put this up here so you can see the map a little bit here. So looks like at last report, which was 8/29, they have 5.3 inches of snow on the ground. And I know they were in the middle of that 1 to 2 inch snowfall rate. Let's get rid of that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Another report. Let's take you up into Lehigh County. This one here. That's Whitehall Township, 7.5 inches. Okay, another report right here. That's just north of Reading. Blandon, looks like as of 8:30, they have 7 inches of snow. Let's go with another report here in the middle of Lancaster County. Leolia, looks like 3.5 inches. That was the last report as of 8:10. So again, you can see that the snowfall totals are really just out of curiosity. Let me go down here in Maryland, where we were close to 80 degrees about a week ago. Let's see what's going on here. So we're just south of the PA-Maryland state line, 3 inches in Norrisville. How about this one here on 83? 2 inches in Bentley Springs. This one, we're starting to get close to Baltimore, about an inch. Just crazy, given how warm it was. All right, let's go here. This one, this is Northampton County, northern Northampton County. Wow. Wow. Bangor, now up to 10. At last report, I had 8. So that's a new update at 8:30. 10 inches now in Bangor. And it's that heavy, wet snow, too, that pasty stuff. Very difficult to remove from the roads. This is, you know, you often hear that term heart attack snow. It's very difficult to remove. That's what you're seeing right now. It's that very heavy, wet snow that has a ton of moisture to it, where you just gotta, if you're gonna be out there shoveling, you gotta take it slow. Bend your knees. Take your breaks. You know, your body's gonna tell you, I'm like, look, all right, you know, I'm getting tired here. Listen to it. Take your break. All right, here's this one here. Now we're along the northeast extension. We're past Allentown, getting past the tunnel. At this report, Palmerton's at 7 inches. That was at 8:30. Okay, and then let's go to this one here, just out of our viewing area. Again, that's Schuylkill County. Wow. Tamaqua, I guess, 11 inches of snow at 8:30. That's as of last report. So again, you can see, and right now the heaviest snow right now is falling from the northeast extension to Reading, in between those areas here. So Pennsburg, it's snowing pretty heavily. Boyerstown, Oley, Fleetwood, Birdsboro, Pottstown, Royersford, Collegeville, Hatfield, Lansdale, Fogelsville, Allentown, Emmaus, Kutztown, every one of those locations that I just named. It's snowing pretty heavily still. And even though the tail end is starting to swing through extreme far western portions of Berks County, the heart of our viewing area is still getting thumped. Temperatures have dropped down to freezing and even lower in some instances here. Quakertown's at 32, Allentown 31. Philadelphia, again, even though you're above freezing, we're talking about the intensity. The snow is coming down too heavily for it to melt right now. So the temperature honestly just doesn't matter. You're above freezing, it's sticking anyway, and it's piling up very quickly now. Chadds Ford, 33, Wilmington, 34, which, by the way, Hockessin seeing some pretty good snow right now. Millville, 35, and Brigantine, 38. So next hour or so, you can see how, and again, Futurecast works the same way that StormTracker 6 Live works. The darker the colors here, the heavier the precipitation. So you can see that dark purple right through most of our viewing area at 10. That's heavy snow falling from Philadelphia east. Now it's starting to shift into the Garden State and the Delaware Bay region. There's 11 o'clock in the morning. Looks like it's really starting to ease up in Philadelphia. Just an hour after that, it's all coming to an end. We get some sunshine here right before sunset, and the snow starts to melt a little bit. With that sunshine, we start to see temperatures jump up into the upper 30s, low 40s again. So all of this that you see here will start to melt. And again, I want to point this out, okay? Let me see if I can get the telestrator to work. Yeah, it looks like it is going to work here. Here is the 3-inch line, okay, right there. We're already getting reports of over 4 right here, okay? So we may have to, we've only got about another hour, hour and a half of this, so we're just going to kind of leave this graphic alone. But just understand that every one of these numbers here, 3 to 6, the 6 to 9, we may actually have to drop them this way, all right, a little bit closer to the city, because again, it's already starting to overachieve in this part of our viewing area. But as of right now, we've got the 6 to 9 in Allentown, 3 to 6 for this area here, this pink color here, just north of Philadelphia, through most of Bucks and Montgomery counties, as well as northern Chester, northern Lancaster, southern Berks. Here, let me go back over to the telestrator. Here is your 6-inch line right there, okay? Again, this is your 3-inch line. This is your 1-inch line right there, okay? But remember, this area here, we're already seeing close to a foot. That's the Poconos and higher elevations there in Northampton County. Again, Hamburg Mountains in here. Probably going to see a foot of snow. The New York City metro area, probably seeing at least 6 to 10, especially on the north side. And Philadelphia, same thing's going to happen here. So you get closer to the airport here. You know what? Let me get all these lines out. You get closer to the airport here, your number's going to be lower than what we see up here, okay? But again, I think in time, I think this is going to overachieve a little bit because we're already starting to see this happen. So I think everything's going to have to shift a little bit farther south when all is said and done. So if you're a snow lover, you're going to get a little bit more snow than what we were anticipating here yesterday. So heavy wet snow continues over the next hour or two. It's a quick hitting thump now between 10, 10:30. Most importantly, again, is the snowfall rate. When it comes down this heavily, and I've had a lot of experience with this because I used to deal with the lake effect snow when I worked out in Chicago. And believe me when I tell you, when it thumps like this, the roads become treacherous because, one, the snow can't melt because it's just snowing too heavily. Two, the visibility drops so far that you can't see anything, especially in a 2-inch an hour snowfall rate when you've got those silver dollar snowflakes falling. You can't see anything. So again, a couple of tips here if you're traveling. And you're going to see it because the visibility is going to drop down very, very quickly. Drive slow, okay? You're not going to have much choice here, but drive slow. Keep at least 5 or 6 car lengths in between you and the car in front of you. Again, make sure when you have to hit your brakes, you're not jamming the brakes. You're kind of pumping them, you're tapping them, and this way it won't lock up. And again, just importantly, just relax. You know what I mean? Don't be in a hurry. This is the wrong kind of weather to be in a hurry. You got to take it slow out there, okay? And just stay relaxed and you'll get to your destination safely. Coastal flooding going to be an issue for the Jersey Shore, Ocean, Monmouth, Atlantic, Cape May counties, high tide is occurring now. Okay, in the next hour or two, we're going to see moderate tidal flooding. So everywhere from Seaside Heights to Surf City to Atlantic City to Ocean City, Avalon, Cape May, all areas in between. There's going to be some road closures down here because of how high the water's getting now that the coastal low is strengthening. Then you go inland around the Delaware Bay and the Delaware River. We're expecting minor tidal flooding, where we see levels that are about maybe a foot higher than what's considered normal. There could be some partial road closures in this area too, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as what we're expecting on the ocean front. High tide at Barnegat Bay, 10 a.m., minor flooding expected. Atlantic City, Egg Harbor Bay, Great Egg Harbor Bay, Cape May Harbor, 10 a.m., all three of those locations, that's officially your high tide time. All three of those areas we're expecting moderate tidal flooding. Why has this been such a difficult storm to predict? Okay, we were talking about this earlier. When it comes to winter storms, okay, there's two, at least for this part of the viewing area, there's two types. There's a Miller A and there's a Miller B. The Miller A is one main low. The blizzard of '96, it was the biggest snowstorm ever recorded here in the Philadelphia area. I believe it was 33 inches total. That was a Miller A. It's one low that develops and travels up the East Coast. It's an easy storm to forecast because the low is already developed. So if the low is already developed, the modeling sees it. Okay? Once the modeling sees where the lowest pressures are, it can then easily plot it up the eastern seaboard. Okay? So the Miller A is easy. The problem with the Miller B is you got to play the guessing game. So the Miller B is very similar in the beginning to a Miller A. There's one low, and it starts to come up the coast. The difference is that low then transfers its energy to a secondary low off the coast. That then becomes the primary storm as it travels up the mid-Atlantic and the northeast shoreline. The problem is that secondary low hasn't developed, right? So the modeling has to guess on where it's going to place that secondary low. Well, I mean, look, it's a very difficult task. Forecast models, there's physical equations involved. We, humans, we've created the physical equations. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. Therefore, those models make mistakes. So the modeling does the best that it can, but it's trying. It's trying its best to place the low, the secondary low. So it's not an exact science. And quite honestly, this might be something that never is an exact science, trying to place the secondary low. So initially, when we were on the air Friday and Saturday, initially the modeling had the low developing here. It brings some milder air into the storm. Rain-snow line shifts to the north. But, in fact, this is what happened, okay? The secondary low has developed much farther to the south. Therefore, the rain-snow line has shifted to the south. The storm is driving colder air in from Canada, and you've got yourself a snowstorm out there, okay? So, again, this is why these kinds of storms are so difficult to forecast, because you're trying to predict where this secondary low develops. Now, if it was just all rain and there was no rain-snow line, then it wouldn't really matter, right? Because nobody cares if you get a half inch of rain or an inch of rain. It's wet, right? Nobody cares. But, you know, it's a huge difference when you're talking about snow. It could be the difference of not seeing snow at all and picking up 6 inches. And that really makes a huge difference in the forecast. It impacts your day, right? And we're seeing it right now. Okay, looking forward, so we're seeing this little dip in the jet stream now. We're going to have to keep our eyes on this right here. There's another dip in the jet Friday into Saturday, okay? There's going to be an area of low pressure that develops along this thing. There's Saturday, and it will swing through. The million-dollar question here, where does that low develop, okay? Same thing here. The low hasn't developed yet, so the modeling has to try and figure out where it's going to develop. The modeling wants to develop it on the Arctic front, okay? That's some colder air that's going to push in. So is the Arctic front farther to the south, or is it farther to the north? If it's farther to the north, we probably pick up a couple of rain and snow showers. I believe it's Saturday or Saturday night into Sunday, something like that. But if that front is farther to the south, might be something we have to look at closely here again, where we could see some accumulation out of this. So that's going to be the next system that we're monitoring. Okay. I am going to stop talking and get a bottle of water, and I'm going to leave you with this. Next hour to an hour and a half, take it slow out there. Take your time. If you're shoveling the snow, listen to your body. Take the breaks. If you're on the roads, same thing. Keep at least 5 to 6 car lengths in between you and the car in front of you. Okay, I'll see you again in about 10 minutes. Stay safe out there. Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Chris Sowers with this AccuWeather update. We continue to track the progress of this February snowstorm here in the Philadelphia area. Some things you need to know: the heavy snow continues, especially from the I-95 corridor north and west. Many roads are snow covered. Snowfall rates, now they're starting to ease a little bit, but the highest snowfall rate that I saw was about 45 minutes to an hour ago, and that was 2 inches an hour. That is a huge snowfall rate. That's the kind of snow where it's just coming down so quickly that the crews can't keep up with it. Okay, so we're still dealing with some pretty heavy snowfall right now of about an inch to, let's say, 1.5 inches an hour, areas north and west of Philadelphia. But we are also beginning to see the tail end of this system. Okay, things are starting to wind down from northwest to southeast. So probably going to see, and I've got nothing but windows in this office, so I'm looking at it. It's a winter wonderland. Looks like we're in Maine or something like that. But we're probably going to continue to see this for another, what time is it, 9:30, maybe an hour and a half, okay? And then from that point on, we're going to see big improvements here. Matter of fact, some areas could end up seeing some sunshine later today, and then the temperatures go right back up into the upper 30s, low 40s. Okay, here we go. Everything filling in. Remember, the last couple of hours we were talking about the dry slot in southern New Jersey. That no longer exists as the storm is pulling away. The back banding, everything's starting to fill in. So now we do, with that being said, we do have some holes here. You can see right there in Delaware County, it looks like things have eased up a little bit. And then we've got a dry slot here and a dry slot there. But this, right in through here, this is all heavy snow. This right here, Ocean Monmouth counties, that's a snowfall rate of at least 1 inch an hour. This here, this is a 1/2 inch to 1 inch an hour. So again, things are starting to get a little bit better, but it is still snowing. It is still coming down pretty heavily. Okay, let's zoom in to areas north and west. Northeast extension from Norristown all the way up into Allentown, Emmaus, Macungie, Richland. You can see all of those areas here. Dark purples represent the heavy snow. Okay, so we're still seeing at least a 1/2 inch to 1 inch an hour snowfall rates pushing through. Other locations that are being impacted with this: Pottstown, Boyertown, Oley, Pennsburg. Let me zoom in here. I've got a map working on the side here so I can remember some of these towns. Perkiomenville, Schwenksville, Harleysville, all seeing some really heavy snow. Linfield, Royersford, Spring City, all reporting very heavy snow right now. And notice the direction that it's moving here, northwest to southeast. So those heavy bands, if it's not snowing heavily, let's say you live up and down the I-95 corridor, if it's not snowing heavily there yet, which it looks like it is in places like Bensalem and Trenton and Newtown, if it's not snowing heavily yet there, it will be shortly as this band continues to push through. Okay, south and east, looks like we're still raining right now in places like Millville and Vineland and Bridgeton and right there in what's the name of that high school there? It's the regional high school. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, as you get closer to Centerton and Fortescue and Gandy's Beach, those areas reporting still rain at this point. Temperatures are mild. Sea Isle City is rain. Cape May is rain. But then Cape May is rain, excuse me. But then in Atlantic City, it looks like we have started to flip it over to a little snow. Middletown, Newcastle County, you're snowing pretty good. Newark in Delaware snowing good. Hockessin, Wilmington snowing good. And then if you get up into Burlington County, you're running right on 206 out of Hamilton north through Chemung, and then into northwest Burlington County as you get closer and closer to Burlington itself, and then eventually into Trenton. Notice how the colors get really, really dark. Okay, that's heavy snow falling. That's where we will be seeing snowfall rates. So right here, all right, right there, and then there's this one here. These are at least 1 inch an hour, okay? So if you're going to be driving and you encounter that, remember the visibility is really going to drop very, very quickly within those two bands, and the snow is going to pile up very, very quickly. Okay, here's the outer edge. All right, we were just talking about it here, right there. Okay, so the low developed here, okay? It's traveling this way. The snow follows it as it works its way off the coast and out to sea. All right, we have a couple of snow reports here. These keep coming in, and this one, actually, and I'm going to look at these for the very first time along with you here as these keep updating. So this one here, it looks like we are right around Quakertown. So it's East Rock Hill Township. Looks like they made a correction to the previous snow report, 6.5 inches. That's the report as of 9:10 this morning. Let's see what else we got going on here. Right there on the Lehigh-Berks County line. Mertztown is now up to 7 inches. All right, let's get rid of that one. Let's click on this one here, right next to it. Of course, they give me one I can't pronounce, right? Breinigsville, 9 inches. That was as of 9:30. It's that heavy, wet, pasty snow. 9 inches of it. You're almost at a foot. And then right here, just east of Allentown, Bethlehem. Very pretty area. Looks like 8.8 inches as of 8:53. And it's still snowing pretty heavily up there. So it's piling up quickly in Northampton County. And then let's go up into the Poconos. Martins Creek, 7.1. That was as of 9:09 this morning. Do we have any more? Yeah, we have one here in Lancaster County. Let's go right here. That is Paradise. Lovely name. 4 inches of snow. That was as of 9 a.m. Again, it's that heavy, wet, pasty stuff. And then just out of our viewing area here in Cecil County, looks like snow in a town called Rising Sun. They've reported 1 inch as of 9:07. Let's go up here. This is Middlesex County. You get closer to New York City. Just curious what they're seeing. East Brunswick, 3. What about this one here? Maplewood, 3.7. What about here? Rawa, 4 inches. How about here? Metuchen. The one with the M, this one right here. 4.5 inches of snow being reported. And they still have several hours to go. I think it's Metuchen. I can't remember. 31 right now in Saylorsburg. Jim Thorpe, 31. Allentown, 31. Remember, the magic number is 32. You get above that, and the snow will start to melt. So, but one of the problems, you know, we were talking about this. One of the problems that we're running into here is the intensity of the snow, the snowfall rates, okay? The snow isn't just kind of coming down lightly and just, you know, it's coming down. It's thumping. So even though temperatures may be above freezing in parts of our viewing area, it's just not going to matter this time around because the snow's too heavy. It doesn't have a chance to melt on the roads. Now, once the snowfall rates begin to ease up and we no longer see the inch an hour, the 1.5 inches an hour, the 2 inch an hour snowfall rates, and maybe we drop it down to, I don't know, 1/2 inch or even less an hour, that's when you're going to start to notice the snow melting, okay? The roads will start to clear, the sidewalks will start to clear, and conditions are going to get a lot better. But where you're still in the areas that are picking up the 1 to 2 inch an hour snowfall rates, it's just not enough time for the snow to melt, even if temperatures are above that magic number of 32. Philadelphia is still sitting at 33, Warrington 33, Mount Holly 33, Salem, good morning, 34, Millville, good morning, 35, Hamilton 33. Looks like Tabernacle out there in the Pine Barrens sitting at 32. It's snowing pretty good there right now at the moment. Cape May 37 and Milford about 37 degrees. So it's a little bit milder as to be expected as you get closer and closer to the ocean front there. 10 o'clock in the morning, everything shifts to the east. Okay, remember, still snowing out across our southeastern Pennsylvania suburbs. Everything will follow the area of low pressure as it travels northeastward and away from the coastline here. So by 11 o'clock in the morning, still snowing along the coastal plain there, the Garden State of New Jersey. Then by midday, snow pulling away, all right, from the coast. Cloud cover thins out. Boom. We get some sunshine right before sunset here, and that's going to allow those temperatures to warm up into the upper 30s, low 40s. All right, we got some additional snow totals. So here's a look. This is what we're expecting when all is said and done. It looks like a lot of this is going to end up verifying, but there's going to be some areas here that are going to overachieve, maybe a few areas that underachieve, but I think in general, what you see in front of you here is going to end up being a good call from the Action News weather team. So Boyertown, again, here's a look at some of the latest, and you know where you are. If you don't on the map here, I'll try my best to kind of pinpoint it. So Boyertown is right in this area here. Let's go 5.3 inches. East Coventry, 5.3, that's Chester. Bangor, which is, let me up my telestrator. Bangor's somewhere up in here. Looks like they're at 10. Leesport, 4. Whitehall Township, 7.5. There was a report out of Chester, which is right in through here. Looks like 4 there. Hellertown, 4. Gilbertsville, 5. And again, the Boyertown report was 5.3. All right, let's quickly zoom in. And as you're taking a look at this, and there's a look at some of the communities and the expected snowfall totals here when all is said and done. Again, the Brinesville area, looks like at last report, now that's Lehigh County, that's 9 inches. What else do we got here? These are all coming down pretty quickly now from the National Weather Service. They're starting to get a lot of reports as people are waking up and they're getting out there and they're measuring the snow. And remember, how you measure the snow, okay, you take 3 locations within your yard, all right, areas that are away from anything that could obstruct the total. For example, you're not going to measure the snow underneath a tree. Okay, obviously that's not going to give you an accurate reading. So open areas, all right, you take 3 measurements, add them up, average them out, send it into the National Weather Service, and they will get your report out there. So East Rock Hill Township, Bucks County, looks like 6.5 inches there. What else do we got here? Oh, there's that Metuchen report in Middlesex County, 4.5. What else do we got? 9:14 this morning. National Weather Service is reporting in Bern Township, Berks County. That's 7 inches of snow there, so you're more than a half foot. Here is East Brunswick. That's Middlesex County. Looks like an estimated 3 inches there. 9:11 this morning. Mertztown, there's that 7 inch in Berks County. Let's do one more here. 9:10 this morning, 8 inches. That's Sussex County, New Jersey. So that's up there a little bit. Okay, remember the next hour, hour and a half, heavy wet snow continues to fall. It's going to reduce the visibility. The roads are slick. I can't stress this enough. You want to leave. Now, where the snow rates are starting to weaken a little bit, the snow is starting to melt. But in general, road conditions are pretty poor across a large part of our viewing area from the I-95 corridor north and west. So you want to leave at least 5 to 6 car lengths in front of you and the car in front of you. This is a quick hitting thump, a burst of snow, if you will, now, right through about 10 or 10:30. We're not seeing the 2-inch-an-hour snowfall rates anymore, but we are still seeing a couple areas that are picking up at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Okay, and again, a lot of that's going to end from west to east. Coastal flooding. Okay, now it's not just this morning's high tide cycle. There's 2 more that we're going to be concerned about. There's this evening's high tide, tomorrow morning's high tide. In particular, right there on the ocean front where we've got moderate posted, the most vulnerable roads are likely going to become impassable for a time, okay? A lot of those roads sit pretty close to sea level, if not lower anyway, to begin with, and even during a heavy rainstorm, you know the roads that I'm talking about. Even during a heavy rainstorm, you know, it's hard to pass on through. So obviously in this situation, some of these are going to be impassable. Minor flooding expected right there on the Delaware Bay as well as the Delaware River. High tide is occurring now in every one of these locations that you see. Minor flooding for the Barnegat Bay, moderate flooding in Atlantic City, Great Egg Harbor Bay, and Cape May Harbor. Moderate is usually at least 1.5 feet above what's considered a normal high tide level there. Okay, so that's going to do it for me. We'll end here on the radar. Just again, what you want to remember is some of the secondary roads especially are very, very slick this morning. And it's not that they're impassable, but you know, it's difficult, quite honestly, to drive on them. They're snow covered. So just take it slow out there. And as I mentioned earlier, leave enough space in between you and the car in front of you. Remember, if you got to hit the brakes, you don't jam on them. Okay, kind of tap them, you know, and that's why you want to go slow so you don't have to jam on them. Sometimes in these kind of conditions, if you jam on the brakes, your brakes can lock up and then you kind of slide. You want to avoid that. Meteorologist Karen Rogers looks like she is on deck here at 10 a.m. on 6ABC. And she's going to have the latest for you there, and then I'll be along at noon with another update. And at that point, everything, remember, is winding down. So we're in it for another hour or so, and then conditions will improve. Everybody be safe out there. Have a good day.